Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm sorry I'm laughing, but that's my IT right there for you. Good morning, everybody. 10 a.m. on Bank Holiday Monday morning. The season 24-25 is over. It is done. We know who's won everything and who's got relegated and everything, and we're going to go through it all today. We will also touch on Bournemouth and everything that's gone on. But first of all, let me welcome my podcast brothers. Hi, Cooks. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. What's gone on with Bournemouth? What have I missed out there?
Oh, who we played yesterday? Not Bournemouth. Oh my God, Southampton.
So there we are. Okay, it's the end of the season.
Do you know what? I've written Bournemouth on my bloody list. Honestly, I don't know what's wrong with me. Yes, Seth, thank you for that, Cooks, because I would have been talking about Bournemouth Arsenal yesterday. Southampton Arsenal, of course. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good to be here. Good to say F you to this season.
We'll get into all that, but we cannot go any further until we mention the fantastic win by the Arsenal women on Saturday afternoon. Oh, my life. Right. You all know I don't watch much of women's football. I would never sit here and say I'm their biggest fan. I just don't have the time with all the time that we put into the men's football. But I've watched about 3 or 4 matches this season, started to get to know a few of the players. But honestly, I felt at the end of the final whistle, I cried. I've cried at everything. I just am so goddamn proud. Everyone here in the Same Old Arsenal podcast are so proud of you Arsenal women, what you only did to Barcelona, the goal you scored and your game plan and your incredible manager and everyone, and watching the supporters over in Lisbon and at the Emirates. And I'm so, so proud. Well done. Absolutely fantastic. 18-year wait. Chris, did you watch it? Have you watched any of the women's football this season?
I've watched a few bits and bobs of the football, not a lot. I didn't watch. I watched all but the last sort of 15 minutes. So just after Blackstenius scored, I watched because I was out and about with friends. But yeah, it was. Even though I hadn't watched it, just seeing
Yeah.
that they were one up with 50, that was the longest 15 minutes I think of my life, and I was suddenly massively invested and realizing because I think I'd assumed that the Barcelona Femini, I think I say it, how do you say it? They're essentially all conquering. They beat everyone. They swat everyone aside. They beat Chelsea in the last round. Chelsea obviously just walked the title in the WSL. So to play them, to get a win against them, keep them to a shutout, that's really impressive. So kudos, hats off, and yeah, the women, the men can take inspiration from the women, hopefully.
Champions League final and they win it, Cooks. Did you manage to watch any of it?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. I'll be the first to admit that I don't watch women's football at all. I've not got a massive interest in it, just being totally transparent. But this felt like one of those games that you kind of had to watch. And I've got to say, right off the bat, really impressed with the standards because obviously there is a bit of a stigma with women's football. It's not as good as the men's game. And I didn't really have any preconceived ideas going into it, but I have to say I was really, really surprised by how far the quality had come and just how good Arsenal were. Like they were defensively really, really, really good. Leah Williamson at the back with so many clearances, and it was just a really good game, really good performance. And I've got a friend that's a Chelsea fan who's really into women's football, and he was saying that Barcelona was so good in the semi-final that there's no chance we're going to win this. And I was almost in a way a little bit disappointed by how relatively average Barcelona were, but that's because Arsenal made them look average. So it's a great achievement for the club, putting women's football on the map in every sense of the word. And you have to give big kudos to people like Tim Stillman, who's really rooted for the women's game over the years. And yeah, I mean, it's just a great moment, for Arsenal Football Club as a whole, and just to see the fans in Lisbon, the fans in the stadium. It shows that this is really, really being taken seriously now, and hopefully there's more investment in it, and the ladies can carry on winning.
Well, it's interesting you say that about the standard. It's exactly what I said to Carl. I was shocked because when I've watched it over the years occasionally, the standard hasn't been great. It just hasn't. But the last couple of seasons, wow. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I got stressed. I was like 10 minutes from the end thinking, I thought my stress was over for the season. I thought my calm down, we're going to do this, had gone. But I was so invested like you, and it just absolutely fantastic. There's a player called Caldente that I thought was incredible, and the goal, oh, I mean, we would have been proud of that in the men's teams. It was just a fantastic move. So I wanted to start the show off by saying, well done, Arsenal women. We are all so proud of you. And as we're going live now, they're doing their little trophy lift at the Armoury. Shame they didn't get a parade, but hopefully that they'll enjoy that. So moving on, let's have a quick roundup of what we thought about yesterday. The one thing that really annoyed me about yesterday, and I know it's weird saying this, that where the hell has that Ødegaard been the whole season? Why has he not taken a shot like that the whole season? As he got the ball, I kept going, shoot, shoot, shoot. And what a goal, Chris. I mean, that was Ødegaard, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've had problems with Ødegaard all season, as you said. It's a bit. I wonder if some of it's down to his injury problems, though, because from what I've seen in the last few weeks, it does seem like he's bulking up a little bit. Like I think he's had more problems than people let on. Like there was the injury, there was the. I think there was did he get pneumonia as well? I think all of this has contributed towards it. But nice way to win, and yeah, good finish.
Yeah, Cooks. What did you think? Obviously we're all pleased to see Ødegaard score like that. Nice to win, obviously. I thought generally it was a weird lineup. I don't know why he started with Raheem Sterling. I've just got this thing about Raheem Sterling. I don't understand, because obviously he's going back. Thank God, thankfully. What did you think of the lineup and how we started?
Yeah, touching on the Ødegaard goal first of all. I mean, where has that been all season? And I think touching on what you say there, Chris, I think maybe there is something going on there that we don't quite know about with his ankle, because just he levered that, and every other time we've seen him get in that position this season, he's overplayed it. He's looked to pass it. He's not even attempted to take the shot on. So I hope with a full pre-season, that we see the Ødegaard of a couple of years ago next year, because he's clearly got it in his locker. He's clearly got the technique. He's clearly got the ability. He showed it yesterday, and he even showed it in the game against PSG. And there was another game against Liverpool where we scored the Mikel Merino goal because of his shot. So if he starts doing that, chances will come and goals will come. So yeah, good to see. A little bit too late in the season for it, but if he's been dealing with problems, then that's just how it goes. And hopefully we see him rejuvenated next year. In terms of the lineup, I was hoping it'd be a bit of a goal fest, but when I saw that team, I was like, yeah, I'm not really too sure what I'm going to expect from this game. Really pleased to see Nwaneri start. Great to see Declan Rice get the armband. Nice for Kieran Tierney to start. Disappointing that Calafiori was out again. But yeah, it was a bit of a mismatch of a team. And I mean, with Raheem Sterling, was it just a little bit of a, just this is your last game for us, just have fun? Maybe that was it.
Well, sorry, Chris.
We don't have fun watching him, though, do we?
No, we definitely do not.
It's been said that he's been very supportive of the academy and stuff like that. Maybe he's been a very big support around everything, and they just wanted to say goodbye. It didn't matter really, did it? I mean, we came second. There were many Gooners who didn't even think we would come in the Champions League. Everyone was a little bit hyperbolic, weren't they, the last few weeks? But I'm a bit like you, Chris. I never want the season to end, but this season, I'm ready for the break. It has been frustrating. It has been. Well, we'll get into the whole season thing, but overall, yesterday, got the win, stayed second, and the season's over. We have got people in the chat room. Hello, by the way. Sorry, didn't say hello to you all. We are doing a 1 to 8 of player of the season, young player of the season, goal of the season, match of the season, worst game, save of the season, most improved player, and worst ref decision. We are going to come to that. So when we answer, feel free to answer too. Just want to go over a couple of bits, obviously. There's all this talk about whether that lot down the road have had a better season than us. Now, they won a competition that we were too good to be in. That's number one. Number two, they've had 22 losses this season and averaged a point a game. So, Chris, what's your thoughts on the argument that they've had a better season than us because they've got a trophy?
Well, at the end of it, so I do a barbecue every summer. I get all my mates over, and there's a couple of Tottenham fans in there, and one of them will turn up and give me the banter, and you just got to take your licks because they've won the trophy. But if you think about it, and you make a really good point there, where you talked about those losses. How many times during this season did I end up being happy because my team had won, versus how many times they'd like ultimately he's having the last laugh, I guess, because they've won a trophy. But he was essentially 2 weeks ago saying he hates football, he doesn't get any joy out of football's rubbish, blah 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 blah. So for me, I don't really care about the whole who's had a better season or not. It really doesn't bother me whatsoever. If that's what they want to claim, it really doesn't bother me. The teams that they played a terrible Man United side. They played Bodo Glimt. They played Frankfurt, who are a half decent side. They played Alkmaar. They played, was it Karabag? They played, who else have they played? They played Elfsberg. They've played just Mickey Mouse teams, Rangers. Like they've not actually, it's not a serious competition anymore because they don't have any of the Champions League teams in it. So because it's not a serious competition, I don't care. I think it's easier to win. It's harder to win the League Cup than it is to win the Europa League. So let them have it. Let them have their day. Hopefully, it's papers over the cracks and they keep Big Ange, because that team needs major surgery next season, and Champions League football is not going to help them.
And also, adding on to that, Cooks, is that yesterday, you'd have thought, wouldn't you, they'd try to make an effort to actually win their last game, then to have their celebrations of what they wanted to do, and they get spanked 4-1. I mean, anyone that says that they've had a better season, argue to the hill. I've got City friends of mine saying they've had a better season. I don't know if they're doing it to wind me up than both of us. But we've had Real Madrid at home and the most incredible night. What have they had? They've had a night beating the worst team. I watched the final for 20 seconds and I looked at Carl and I said, I don't want to watch it. I'm not interested. I knew Spurs were going to win anyway. Apparently the worst final ever. I can't say because I didn't watch it, but well, what I was reading. And they've won a cup that is exactly what Chris is right. It's harder to win the League Cup than it is to win the Europa. No Champions League teams dropped in it. That's just my argument.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, I'm not going to take anything away from them. They've won it. Fair enough. Hold my hands up. You know, you can only beat what's in front of you. And if that's the likes of Karabag and Bodo Glimt, then fair play. And probably the worst Manchester United side that we've seen in the past 10, 15 years at least. So, look, they've won it. Fair play to them. But in terms of them having a better season than us, I look at it this way. Would I swap our situation with theirs? No. Never in a million years. Okay, we've not won a trophy. I'm frustrated about that. I'm frustrated that they've got their hands on a European trophy. But when I look at what that actually means, I don't know if it means a lot, to be totally honest with you. I mean, that Manchester United side are absolutely horrendous. This Spurs team, coupled with Champions League football next season, I mean, that would be a very, very interesting concoction. But like you say, Chris, they need major work across all areas of the pitch, and there's even talk of them losing players like Romero, so it's going to be a massive summer for them. They've got a lot of work to do. And I mean, I know you didn't watch the final, Amanda, but it was genuinely awful. Like, it was, I mean, I watched the Leyton Orient Charlton game yesterday, and there was more quality in that than there was in that Europa League final. It was that poor. The goal pretty much summed it up. And I'm sounding like really sour grapes here. I can't clarify enough that they've done well to win it. You know, you've got to be in it to win it. But in terms of them having a better season, I just don't believe it. I think we're primed to be in a position next season where we can really challenge for trophies. I know we say at the start of every year, but we want to win the biggest honours. And the fact of the matter is they're a lot harder to win than a Europa League, which has kind of been torn apart by not having Champions League teams in it. And okay, there's the argument that when we were in the Europa League, we didn't go on and win it, and we absolutely should have done. You know, we should have beaten the likes of Villarreal. We should have beaten Sporting Lisbon. We should have won it when we were in it. Can't get away from that. But at the same time, this version of the Europa League, the standard of it is nowhere near as high as it was back when we were in it. You didn't have the likes of Atletico Madrid dropping into it. I mean, Barcelona even dropped into it a couple of years ago. It's not the same competition. So fair play to them. They've won it. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out next season, because I don't think this is some miracle cure to what has been, frankly, a catastrophic Premier League season for both them and Manchester United.
It's interesting. So the managers just won a cup, and all I can see on my timeline of Spurs fans that follow me, that I don't follow, they like to troll me, I suppose. They all want Ange out. He's just won a cup. And yeah, because you haven't had a better season, because 22 losses betrays that. Anyway, we've had enough about saying about them. Also, 36 years ago today, boys, I'm going to mention it, 1989, 26th of May. We had our greatest night. I'm surprised I've lasted 16 minutes before I've mentioned this. But you know what? It's my favourite footballing date of the year. And tonight we'll be watching Fever Pitch, because every year I try and watch it on this date. So forget that lot. Let's celebrate us lot and let's move on. So promoted Sunderland. Now, I watched that game. Wonderful to see Tyrese Campbell score. I'm sure Kev would have been so proud. But then Sunderland came ahead and beat them 2-1, and they're now back in the Premiership, which I do quite like Sunderland as well. I've got some good friends that support them. So they're coming up, and obviously the three are going down. I'm also going to just quickly go through our predictions that we made, just quickly, back in August. Now, we're not very good at predictions. The Prem winners, Chris, you went for City, and me and Cooks went for Arsenal. But you got the runner-up, Chris, because you said Arsenal would come second. So well done on that. Cooks, you nearly did. You got Liverpool, and I said City. FA Cup was Palace, obviously. We said Arsenal, Villa, Arsenal. None of us got that. None of us guessed the League Cup either. Chelsea, Liverpool, Villa we all went for, and it was Newcastle. Talking about Newcastle, how disappointed were you that they made the Champions League, Chris, and not Aston Villa?
Well, I don't really like Emi Martinez these days, so I don't really have that too much of a problem about Newcastle. They seem to weirdly have a obsession with us, though, and they've built up a hatred for us for some bizarre reason, but I don't have an issue with it. I'm a bit like, meh, so what? See how they get on. Teams that go into the Champions League, then normally teams like Newcastle have, when they've been in the Champions League or Villa, their league form has suffered. So it'll be interesting to see. Newcastle in the Champions League next season with their domestic form as well. See how.
Relegated. We all got one. We all said Leicester. I said Ipswich. No, I didn't. Sorry, I said Southampton, so I got that one. You two said Ipswich, and then I said we all said Forest. That's a bit of a shock, isn't it? We all went Forest, and look what they did. They've had an absolutely brilliant season, and I'm so pleased for them that they've got into Europe. Really, really am. Great supporters, great club. Right, so that's that. We're going to do those, obviously, predictions coming into the end of July, beginning of August. But we didn't do very well. We did better on the relegated teams than the promoted. Right. Okay. I just want to touch on the whole season, and then we'll go into what we think are our choices. The PGMOL, VAR, referees. I know you're not fussed that Emi Martinez is not in the Champions League, but Cooks, that yesterday sums it up for me, the whole season. The fact that the ref blew too early, that when he put it in the goal, VAR can't look at it, is absolutely outrageous. And United fans are actually saying that Villa have been robbed as well. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's balmy, really, isn't it? Like, why can't VAR intervene in a situation like that just because the referee's blown his whistle? I mean, surely that's a prime situation of, like, surely decisions as big as that can't be defined just by a referee blowing his whistle too early. That is a massive, massive moment that has gone against Aston Villa. But it's, one of what's hundreds this season that have gone so badly wrong. Like, the technology is there, but it's implemented so poorly. They've got to have a look in the summer at how this can be better used. And I saw something recently about, it's going to be a new rule for next season that only captains can talk to the referees. But wasn't that something that we were
I thought
being
it was this
introduced.
season.
Yeah, I thought that had already come into play. So I'm just really confused by what even is officiating at this point. And I'm excited to get into, one of the points that you put down about what was the worst referee decision against us this season, because I think there's, one of many that we could pick out there.
Yeah, I think we will all be choosing probably different on that. Chris, sick of talking about VAR, sick of the fact that it's ruining the game, and not VAR, but the people behind it. Sick of referees and the inconsistency. We've seen so much of it this year. I mean, did we lose the league because of it? We probably lost the league because we had so many draws. It didn't help some of the decisions, of course. I'm not going to go down that road. Liverpool won the league and that's the end of it. I do feel that they've had many plus decisions where we haven't, but all clubs think like that. But I do think that Villa were robbed yesterday. And I think in that situation where it's gone against them going in the Champions League, that's outrageous. I mean, of course, in that second, you can't tell if the goalkeeper has got hold of the ball. But then allow a replay, allow him to go to the screen and give the goal. Surely that would have been right, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't actually seen the incident.
Right,
I've just
okay.
been reading about it as you were talking about it. But I think it just sums up the fact that you're getting these joke, farcical decisions. I think it just sums up where we're at right now. The semi-automated offsides, we were promised that at the beginning of the season, but what's happened to that? It's essentially, this is an extension of the old boys network of PGMOL. I think we've all talked about it. I'm almost sick of talking about it now. It needs to be blown up and started again. You need a whole new set of people running it. You need independence from the current crop. You need independence from the referees as well. You can't just have them marking their own homework. Like, you've got the same referees in the VAR studio as you do are out on the pitch. We've already had Mike Dean say, "Oh well, when I was on VAR once, I didn't want Anthony Taylor to go to the mic because he'd already had a tough enough day." It's like, that's not how you referee games. You referee games by, if you're going to do the letter of the law, then the letter of the law. I mean, we got gaslighted about the letter of the law enough earlier on in the season, but I'm sick of talking about VAR, but not what's going to change. We're just going to get the same nonsense next season. And the problem we've got as well is that Sky will back, because they're in their pocket. Sky will back them. So,
and also, the one thing that I would like to change, there's probably quite a few, is this playing on when you're offside. No, he's offside. They play on for like another minute, 30 seconds. You can get an injury from that. What is that? It frustrates the hell out of me that there's so many things that we need. We need an ex-player in there because they don't really understand offside. They don't get it. And how many times have we been at the Emirates and it's been 5 minutes? It's supposed to be clear and obvious. It don't take 5 minutes for a clear and obvious. Give it a minute. I think they should only have a minute. And if they can't make that decision, then play on. Honestly, sick of it. Right, let's start with our things. And also, we would like to say well done to David Raya for getting the Golden Glove, joint winner this year. 2 seasons on the trot. Very, very pleased for him. Very, very proud of him too. Right, who wants to go first? We're going to start with player of the season. Chris, who's yours and why?
Declan Rice, because I think he started off the season a little bit ropey, shall we say. I think some of his form was in question, but the way he ended the season, for me, absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, and the goals, the memories that he gave us from that Real Madrid, both the games actually was superb, but in the home game in particular, those 2 free kicks, brilliant stuff.
I've gone for Declan as well for that reason, and he did start off slow, and then he just built and built and built, didn't he? Cooks?
I've gone for Yuri and Timber. I think he's just been the epitome of consistency throughout the course of the season. Has he had one bad game? I don't think so. I think every single performance he's put in, whether he's played at left back, centre half, right back, he has been exemplary across every single one of those positions. And when you consider that he's come in off the back of that ACL injury, to be available pretty much for the entirety of the season just goes to show what a good player he is. I should caveat by saying if he hadn't got injured, it would be Gabriel, because I thought he was unbelievable up until he got injured. But just for pure availability, consistency of performance, I can't look any further than Yuri and Timber.
I think the argument I had with a couple of Arsenal fans and West Ham fans about 5 weeks ago about Gabriel being better than Saliba, and they thought I was mad. He was the whole season, and he would have been mine as well, but unfortunately, he wasn't. So, a couple of people are agreeing with Declan Rice as well. Okay, young player of the year. I'll start that one. I've gone for Miles Lewis Skelly. I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind. And I don't think I need to go on for about 10 minutes about how wonderful this kid is and what I love about him and how he has made strides forward that I would never have ever seen at the beginning of the season. So, Cooks, who's yours?
Yep, exactly the same. Not too much to add on there. I think going into the campaign, it was all about Ethan Nwaneri, and then Lewis Skelly just kind of came out of nowhere. And I don't think anyone was really tipping him to break into the team in the way he did, but he has been a breath of fresh air. You know, the way he plays, the way he took the opportunity with both hands when there were so many injuries at left back, and is effectively now our starting left back. And he's 18 years old. It's unbelievable. I'm so glad we've got a player like him.
Chris?
Yeah, full house. It's got to be Lewis Skelly. What's interesting is you kind of touched on it, Cooks. Is when they both started getting through into the team, which was the beginning of this calendar year, because they weren't getting many minutes, at the start of the season. And when we played Liverpool, I remember that obviously we had all of those injuries, and Timber and Gabriel had to come off, and we ended up playing White and Kivior at centre half with Lewis Skelly at left back. And at that time, it was, we're playing Liverpool with a makeshift team. You fast forward to now, and Lewis Skelly is not the makeshift young kid part of the team. He is an integral part of the team. Lewis Skelly and Nwaneri both broke through at the same time. And my assumption when they both started getting games at the beginning of the year was it'll be this young attacking midfielder that's going to break through. But actually, Lewis Skelly has just blown us all away.
Yeah, and if we'd have said the first couple of weeks he would be our first choice left back, we'd have all gone, no. But yes, he is. Right, number 3 is goal of the season. So let's go with you, Cooks, first.
My goal of the season, I think, would have to be that second Declan Rice free kick against Real Madrid. Just for the pure joy of being in the stadium at that time, the looking around and everyone just with their hands on their heads in pure disbelief at what we've just seen. I mean, I remember when we spoke about that game a couple of days after, and I think I actually said the first free kick was my preferred one. But in terms of just pure elation and joy, that second one probably given me my best Arsenal supporting moment in a while anyway. So, yeah, that would be mine.
Right, so that's do you want to go champion? Do you want to go Premier League best goal? I can come back to you. I forgot to mention that because I think all of us will mention Declan. So mine is number 1, and I'm sticking with this, although I know most people are saying number 2, because I think to see him do it against Real Madrid, of course, the second one was we all just lost our heads. I totally get that. But for me, number 1 was just absolutely stunning. And I went into shock. And absolutely correct, Julian. Bend it like Declan. I think that for me will always be the best goal I've seen at the Emirates this season. But then coming into the Premier League, because I had time to think about this because I didn't tell the boys, I've gone for Lewis Skelly against City. I just absolutely loved that goal. And Chris, you sit to the side of that, don't you? You saw him cut in, and he's in front of me, and he's below you, isn't he, Kicks? Yeah. The joy and the elation and the celebration, which I love to pieces. Remember, stay humble. So yeah. So, Christopher, favourite goal?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to stick with the. I'll have to stick with the first goal just because Cooks did a great job of the second one. So I'll say the first goal just because I remember being in the stadium and saying to the bloke next to me, who I go to, the season ticket holder next to me, we never score free kicks. It's too far out. Why are we taking this on? And when it went in, he just looked at me and gave me a look as if to say, that's why we're taking it on. So I've got to pick that first one. In terms of the Premier League one, it's a weird one. The Wolves goal that we scored at Wolves to win the game late, it was it Calafiori, I think. So the reason I'm picking that is because it was an absolute disgrace that Miles Lewis-Skelly was sent off. And I was watching it at home, and it just enraged me, that sending off. I'm doing a little bit of a cheat here because I'm going to pick a different thing for controversy, but I'm picking a controversial moment to talk about anyway. It was an absolute disgrace. And when that goal went in, and we were 1-0 up, I remember shouting out loud, fist pumping, and just shouting out loud, justice, because it felt like we were getting justice over PGML, over Michael Oliver. I'd even joked about it during the day that, how's he going to screw us over how's he going to screw us over today? And he literally did screw us over with a ridiculous decision. But we got that goal, and it wasn't so much the quality of the goal. It was just like the visceral feeling of justice. That's why I was like, this is brilliant. I loved it.
Okay. So are we all in agreement that match of the season would have been Real Madrid at home before we even... Yeah, I think...
Yeah, although, shall I throw
doesn't
another
it?
one in?
Yeah, go on.
Shall I throw another one in? Man City 5-0. I mean, battering them at home in the Premier League. That was a quality. That was just amazing. That felt like a changing of the guard moment, smashing Man City. Nobody beats Man City 5-0. Even a poor Man City this season, they've not been smashed like that. And it was a real statement. So yeah, that was delicious.
It was, but I don't think it can match Real Madrid, and I'll tell you why.
No, I'm just
the
throwing it
reason
in
is
as an additional one.
Yeah, no, that's fine for the Premier League, and that's great. But the night that we all went, no one expected anything. I think that's what made it even more magical. I did not go there. I was petrified. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was praying for a draw, and maybe we'd get something out there if possible. But I think that has to be the best match I've ever seen at the Emirates. It was just incredible. For that night alone, that is my favourite match. Okay. Right. Chris, worst game of the season.
Oh. Do you know the things that are popping into my head are the Liverpool, I know it sounds silly, but the Liverpool 2-2 draw. But I'm not going to pick that. I think probably in terms of how I felt afterwards, the PSG game, the home game, because the PSG home game, going into it, I genuinely started to think, we've already beaten PSG before. We could do this. All we need to, we just need sorry, it was 5-1. Yeah, sorry. The Man City game. We just need to keep it tight, and the fact that they scored so early, and then when you watch the replays, it's like he shins it in off the post, and you just think that was the sliding doors moment that could have seen us playing in the Champions League final next weekend, but it wasn't to be. And it's just, rather than the game itself and the performance, it's more how I felt coming out of it. So yeah, PSG at home.
So I agree on the Champions League, but I've gone for West Ham, the 0-0, or sorry, when we lost 1-0 at home, because I walked out the ground and realised that the league was over. That was it for me. We weren't catching Liverpool, and
right,
and West Ham as well, with all their crowing crap. I felt so deflated against West Ham. So for me, PSG at home for the Champions League and West Ham for the Premier League. Cooks.
I'd be very inclined to go with West Ham as well, but for the sake of being different, and it's one that's just etched into my mind, is when we drew 0-0 at home to Everton around Christmas time. That was just a truly awful game. I remember I wasn't actually at the stadium. It was one of the few games I missed. I was on holiday in Venice, and I said to my partner, look, I want to watch this game. Can we just go back to the hotel and I'll get it up on my phone? And, in the middle of Italy, should be doing anything else but watching that. And I just felt like I'd wasted 2 hours of my afternoon. And it was just a really, really dire game. It was at that period in the season. Do you remember when we just couldn't create anything? And I think that's improved as the season's gone on. but we just were creating nothing. We were going left to right, left to right, left to right, constantly in the horseshoe of death, game upon game upon game. And that game, we never, ever looked like scoring. It felt like one of those ones we could have played it for a week and we still wouldn't have scored. And that was against, a poor Everton side. They've turned it around under David Moyes. But at that point, under Dyche, they were poor and we did nothing to test them at all. So for me, that's the one that really sticks out in my mind.
Yeah.
Can I chuck a dishonourable mention for one more in?
Come.
Man United in the FA Cup, like that game. Oh
God,
that was painful, wasn't it? Like we absolutely battered them. They scored with basically their only chance, and then we had to rely on. And then Ødegaard missing a penalty as well. It was just like ugh. And I genuinely believe if we'd have got through that on penalties, I genuinely believe we'd be talking about, oh well, it's not been a great season, but at least we won the FA Cup. I think we'd have gone through and won the FA Cup. Yeah, horrible.
I mean, we could put both the Newcastle games in there as well, like both of those Carabao Cup games. How bad were both of them? Total opposite to what I was saying about Everton. That first game against Newcastle, where we created everything and did nothing. We've got a few this season.
We have, that's for sure. All right, well, let's go on to something a bit more positive. Christopher, I'll come to you. Double save of the season from Raya. Game wide, do you remember which one is your favourite? And everyone in the chat room as well. Thanks for all your contributions as well.
I think there was one in the home game against Tottenham that had me quite impressed. But I've been trying to think about this, and this is the problem with these sort of end of season stuff, particularly stuff like individual moments. You remember the goals, but saves are quite difficult to come by. In terms of trying to remember specific ones, because all you do is you end up remembering the most recent ones. But yeah, I feel like there's probably one against Tottenham, but this was a question which I find difficult because I'm not able to compartmentalize individual moments as brilliant saves.
Yeah, but
sorry, that's
what
a great
I was
one.
Thinking. I've got Aston Villa down here.
Saved my bacon there. Andy saved my bacon there because that was amazing. That Raya save versus Villa.
But he's had quite a few games, Cooks, hasn't he, where he's done double saves like Weldies and kept us in games. But I can't remember the games. Just a bit like Chris, really. Have you got anything to add to your favourite save?
No, I mean, I think the clear winner is the Aston Villa one, but he also made some unbelievable saves very recently just against Newcastle, the other week. But there is one right at the start of the season as well. It's not my pick, the Aston Villa one, head and shoulders the pick for me. But against Wolves, Strand Larsen, point blank, like that was a great save on the opening day of the season. A lot of people forget about it because it was on the opening day, but that was such a good save. But yeah, it's Villa. It's definitely that Villa one. The double save was just mental.
Yeah, he has done some amazing saves, but he's also his distribution needs to be worked on a little bit at times. That's for sure. Right, most improved player, Christopher.
I would say it's a difficult one because I was going to say Jurriën Timber because he's just, like you said, Cooks, as your player of the season, he's just come on so well, leaps and bounds. But the problem is that we didn't really see him last season, so we don't really know if he's most improved. So I probably can't put him into that bucket. But for me, it probably goes into Miles Lewis-Skelly because of the expectation at the beginning of the season versus at the end of the season. Block 5 Guna saying Kivio's a good shout because I think we all were a little bit nervous when Gabriel went off, but we have missed him certainly in the attacking in terms of his prowess on corners. But for me, Kivio has done really, really well. But I'm going to stick with Miles Lewis-Skelly just because of, as I said, that Liverpool game 2-2. And I remember coming out saying, oh, well, Liverpool have got fortunate because we've had to chuck one of the youth team players in at left back. And he's not a youth team. We don't talk about him like that anymore. He is first choice left back. So definitely MLS.
I went for MLS as well. But thinking about it, if Gabriel would have stayed fit, he's improved this season. We would have always chosen Saliba this season before. Now Gabriel. But anyway, I've gone for MLS. Cooks?
Kivio. 100% for me. I had huge reservations about Kivior. I never thought he was as bad as people made him out to be, but I just worried about him over a long period of time. And since Gabriel's come out of the team, I actually think he's been better than Saliba. I know it's quite a big statement to say, but I think consistency-wise, I think he's been really, really, really good. He looks bigger, he looks stronger, his passing is really good. I don't think you're going to find many better players that can come in and deputise for someone like Gabriel in the way he has done. And then when you look at the games he's played big, big, big games. He played both of those games against Real Madrid. I think he's been exceptional since coming in. I honestly didn't think he had this level of quality in his locker, and I think it's imperative we keep him around and play him next season, because he barely kicked a ball until Gabriel got injured, but he's really shown what he can do. And if a big transfer offer comes in, I'm talking 35 million plus, then the club have a decision to make. But like I said before, you're not going to find better than someone who can come in and deputise for a player like Gabriel. But we have to play him more because he's got genuine quality. He's been really, really good.
Yeah, I agree. Going to be interesting to see in the summer. We'll talk about transfers as we finish. Number 8, and our last one, is the worst ref decision. I've got 2, but go on, Cooks. You go first. Tell us what you think. What is your worst?
Declan Rice against Brighton. We've not seen a red card for that again at all.
And you won't.
You won't. It was an absolute farce of a decision. And look, I'm not. I don't want to go back that far and say that has an impact on the title race, but we were so in control of that game at the time, and that just swung the momentum entirely. And we were fortunate to get a point off the back of it, but we should have won that game. We were head and shoulders better than Brighton at that point. And it's just little things like that have an impact. The Trossard one as well against Manchester City. We haven't seen that again this season. These are only things that seem to have happened to Arsenal. Look, I'm not saying this is just an Arsenal thing, because you've only got to look back to the Villa game yesterday. This isn't exclusively to Arsenal. It's across the whole Premier League. But these silly red cards that haven't happened to other teams. But that Declan Rice one was petulant more than anything. It was petulant from Declan Rice to kick the ball away like that, but it was the faintest of touches. You can't be telling me that tiny little touch on the ball that maybe delayed things by half a second was worthy of a red card. It's pitiful. It's absolutely pitiful. So yeah, for me, that is hands down the worst decision I've seen probably ever in football.
Do you know what's worse as well about that? Really pissed me off about that as well is the Brighton player knew exactly what he was doing too. Yeah. Like, he literally deliberately went to kick. He had no interest in kicking the ball. He saw an opportunity to just boot Rice. And so really, like, I was on holiday at the time, so I didn't actually. I was in Portugal, so I watched it on TV. But that was right in front of me. And again, the guy who sits next to me, when I got back, I asked him about it, and he said, "Oh, we were all like, when he blew his whistle, we were all cheering because we thought the Brighton player was about to get a second yellow and sent off. So we were all cheering. But then when he sent Declan Rice off, everyone was just stunned."
The thing is, Chris, it was interesting because you would have been right there. It's not. It doesn't even kick the ball. It's like a flick, right? Now, I just want to bring that comment back up that our friend of the show, JJ, said, behave with the Rice versus Brian. He flicked the ball. Don't flick the ball. You won't get the card. Anyone else flicks the ball, they won't get a card. That's the thing. We've seen it so many times where someone's kicked. And in the same game, Chris, they kicked the ball halfway up the pitch. Halfway up the pitch. They didn't get a yellow card, Brian. There's so much about that game that is so infuriating. But that is right opposite me. And I went, oh, good. Brighton's going to get a player sent off. That's exactly what I thought was going on. So your friend that's much, much closer than me, we all thought that. We didn't understand what had happened. And of course, that Brighton player exactly knew what he was doing, and it frustrated me. So I've got Deck. But the one that really, but the one that really got me, I was on honeymoon watching the City game. And when Trossard kicked the ball to Martinelli, to get a card for that, to get sent off, you just know you're done. You just know you're done. It was so frustrating because we would have beaten City that day. We would have beaten City with 11 men. So for me, I can't really choose between the Brighton and the Trossard one. It was so frustrating. The Saliba one on the halfway line. What game was that away? Was that Bournemouth? Somewhere up there.
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth. You're never going to see that again either. 400 miles away from goal. You're never going to see it. And it just felt that it's always us. And I you're correct, Cooks. What happened to Villa yesterday? And this happened across loads of games. We're paying a lot of money to watch horrific decisions. You can go on and on about Declan Rice maybe shouldn't have flicked the ball, maybe shouldn't have. It's not a card. It's not a card. I'm sorry. It's just
Do you
not
know?
a card.
Do you know the other thing about that Bournemouth one, which again we got gaslighted into by the media and Dermot Gallagher and that stupid ref watch saying, "Oh yeah, it's he's got to go, he's got to go." Like there's been incidents like that. There was an incident that very weekend. The next day, Chelsea played Liverpool, and it was almost identical part of the pitch, almost the identical foul happens on Jota, and I think it was Fofana for Chelsea brought him down. And it was a yellow card. It's like, it's a yellow card, move on. It's literally, this stuff has happened again and again and again. And there are so many of these instances. This is why I've called it the cursed season, not just the injuries. There's also the ridiculous decisions as well. But there's so many instances. But I had, for my choice, Amanda, I had the Declan Rice one. I had the Trossard one. There's the Saliba one, but I can pick another one. Like there's so many, I can pick another one just for sake of debate. How about William Saliba conceding a penalty away at Brighton for heading the ball? Two players like ahead of the ball being headed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally never happened, and yet all of a sudden it's a penalty. Ridiculous.
It really, really is. And the Saliba one with the Jota one was next day. So I was watching that Liverpool game. The reason he wasn't is because there were quite a few players around Jota. But what the camera angle doesn't show you was Ben White was coming in. And no one can say whether at the halfway line whether Ben White was going to get it. So if you can't say that, then it's not clear. I'm sorry, it's not a clear chance. But anyway, we could go on about this. Let's try not to bring the show down, because we're just going to get more and more wound up with these decisions that have just gone against us this season. So overall, out of 10, Cooks, what would you give this season as Arsenal Football Club, and what would you give Arteta out of 10 as well?
Oh God, that's a really hard question. That is really, really hard, because we had so much expectation going into it, but I think we're all just so disappointed with how it panned out. But at the same time, you have to say, to finish second, to get to 2 semi-finals in 2 competitions with a threadbare squad where we've missed Saka for, further the season, Ødegaard for a long period, Havertz for, further the season. Not to mention all the other injuries to the likes of Mikel Merino, Calafiori and co. I mean, you've got to look at it with a bit of context, I think, but at the same time, it does feel like a missed opportunity. Oh God, it's really hard. I'm going to go 6.5. I think that's fair, and I'm going to give Arteta a 7.5. 6.5 for the season as a whole, purely because I think we're all disappointed that we've not come out of this with something. But you have to look at the injuries, the context, the red cards, all the things that have gone against us. And they're not excuses. And look, if the same thing happens next season, I'm not going to use it as an excuse, because we have to make sure we're better equipped throughout this summer to make sure we are in a situation where, okay, let's say we do lose Saka, Havertz at the same time, and Gabriel Jesus and players like that. We've got people in reserve that can come in and we can, adapt our playing style, or we've got guys that can come in and the level stays the same. So yeah, 6.5 for the season, and then 7.5 for Arteta. I think he's done very well to navigate what has been a very difficult season with some of his best players missing. I mean, when you look at some of the lineups we were playing around February time, where we had a front three of Merino, Sterling and Nwaneri, I mean, that just wasn't a serious front three at all. But then to get the best out of someone like Mikel Merino, who's been fantastic, to be honest, since January, really, I think he's done well to navigate it. And I just hope that he gets the proper backing that he deserves in the summer. And then with a couple of options, a bit more rotation next season, hopefully we see less injuries. We see the utilisation of the squad that bit better, because he'll have more at his disposal. And I hope we deliver something next season, because we all, just as a club, need it, because we're good enough. We are absolutely good enough to win something.
I'm going to let you go next, Chris, and I'll come in with my figures.
So I would say 6 for Arsenal for all of the reasons that Cookie mentioned. I'm actually going to give Arteta an 8 for some of the reasons that Cookie mentioned as well, because I think he's had one hand tied behind his back at points this season with injuries, with stupid referee decisions. And in January, there's no way he as a manager comes out as loud and as vocal as he was about needing to sign a striker. There's no way that he doesn't want us to do that business. There's no way that last summer he didn't want us to have a striker. Like, he is an ambitious man. He wants to put us in the best possible position to win things. And I think he was let down by the club during the summer transfer window last year. Because if you think about it, we went for Sesko early on, then it was just radio silence until the last day, and we picked up an absolute busted flush that was Raheem Sterling as his other attacking option. He's had to move things around. He's had to deal with problem after problem after problem, and we've still managed to have a comfortable second place finish in the end and got to the semi-final of the Champions League. He needs to be backed. He's like the Champions League money that we get. It's funny, we were talking about them down the road. Do you know they get 20 million quid for winning the Europa League? I think we get more than £100 million just for getting to the semi-final of the Champions League. So the money is there. He needs to be backed, but it's going to be a big season for him next season. Because I can see JJ in the comments, and JJ's obviously been on here, and we've talked with him on, and he talked about Arteta needs to start winning some stuff now. I think last season, I remember getting JJ on the pod and saying, I don't personally feel like he absolutely has to win something, otherwise he's got to go. I think JJ was saying that. I think this season, I'm not going to say he's got to go because I still think he's doing a great job, but he has to win something next season now. Like, that is, it's like.
But Chris, sorry, what I would say to that, just as an argument,
wins.
Let's say we finish second again and we get to the final of the Champions League and then lose. What do you do in that situation?
Yeah, it's a good point, but
I know what you mean.
You can't sack him off.
Deliver.
I'm not saying sack him. I'm not saying sack Arteta, by the way. I'm just saying for his legacy and for these players, they've been together 3-4 years now. It's time, and now is the time. And this summer is important, and we need to do the business, and we need to do it early.
I do get that, Chris, but we have had injury after injury. You don't know what would have happened if we'd have kept our first 11 fit. So I'm not on that Arteta train of if he doesn't win a trophy, he's out next year, because I've seen what happens when good managers leave. Listen, it's hard, but back in the 80s, if you'd have said it to Ferguson, Man United wouldn't be where Man United are. We just need a season full of fit players and the additions that we all desperately need, which we're going to go on to in a minute.
Can I answer one of the questions in the chat? Because it's kind of related to that.
I haven't done my 7 out of 7 bit yet.
Sorry, I just want to answer that one question, if that's all right. So Julian White has said, if he wanted a striker, why put in a weak offer for Watkins? Well, Aston Villa offered Arsenal Watkins, and Aston Villa wanted it on their terms. So they offered Watkins for 60 million quid. And I think Arsenal looked at it and said, he's in his 30s. We've got other things we want to sign in the summer. So if we spend 60 million quid now, it's 60 million we don't spend in the summer. However, 35, 40 million, which I think is what Arsenal offered, that's a good deal for a proven striker. So I think that's why it happened. I don't completely I don't hate the fact that we walked away from the Watkins thing. I'm not happy about the fact that we did nothing else, though. That was the real problem in January. Sorry, Amanda. Go on.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say, for me, I think I'm going to do 7.5 for both. It would have been higher, obviously, if we would have had it would have been lower if we'd have had a fit team. And then there are too many draws from winning positions. You know, how many times we've gone 1-0 up and you're sitting there going, if we don't get another one, it's going to be a draw. We could even lose it here. We shouldn't have that mentality. We should be able to kill teams off. And that's what I'm hoping comes with this summer. With the fact that people just want to talk about transfers, and I hate it. However, we do have a question from Carl. Gyökeres or Sesko? Can we not have both, Cooks?
No.
So which one, if we had a choice?
I mean, I'm really torn, and my thinking with this is I'm just happy to get behind whoever the club decide to bring in, because I think both of them are a bit of a gamble. I think just looking at Gyökeres's numbers, they are insane, and whatever league he's doing that in, you know, whatever league he scores that many goals in, gets that many assists in, you've got to look at that and think, wow, this is a guy that can come in and do a job for us. I mean, even if he got half the numbers he got for Sporting, if he did that for us, that'd be absolutely fine, because he's got like 76 goal contributions, something like that. I think it's around that number anyway. If he got 30 for us, you know, goals and assists combined, that would make a big difference to us. So I'd be open to him. I also like the idea of Sesko. I mean, he's 5 years younger. He's got a really good profile. Honestly, I don't know. It's a real 50-50 split. I've just got to put my faith in the club to get the guy that they believe is the best fit for the way we play. But I don't know if we could really go wrong with either of them. But I'm just attracted by Gyökeres's numbers, and it's just power, ability. He just looks so explosive. So he would probably, I would just about edge Gyökeres, but I'm happy with either, to be honest.
Chris?
See, I like Sesko. He's got 27 goals and assists this season in all comps, Sesko, and that's 45 games. I like the age profile. I think the Bundesliga is a more difficult league than the Super League, which is the Portuguese league. I think the Portuguese league, it's a bit Mickey Mouse with some of the teams. So you're scoring 4 or 5 goals against some of the teams. It's a bit like, you're just not going to get the time. You're not going to get the space. I think Sesko for me is the preference. I get what James is saying in the chat though. He's a project player, so it's a little bit more. Maybe it's a little bit more of a gamble, but I still think Gyökeres is a gamble just because he's used to playing in a league. Some of the goals that he scores, the teams that he's put up against, he's having green grass to run in behind. That ain't going to happen for Arsenal. We play almost every week. We're playing teams that just set up with a low block. So one of the good things about both of them is that they look like they've got a fair old good shot on them. So what I would say about that is either of those players taking their shots, taking their chances. Hey, I'll take it. I'll take either of them. Like I'm same as you. My preference is Sesko, but either's fine. You know, Gyökeres is about to turn 27 next week. So, but I guess that's reaching prime for a player. So he's going to get his big move.
Okay, staying on this, how many signings do we need this summer and what positions? You were quite vocal on this, Cooks. You still think we need 5 or 6, don't you? With obviously 5 or 6 leaving as well.
I think we need about 5 as a bare minimum. I mean, I'm racking my brains about who's going to leave this summer, but Neto's going to go, Sterling's going to go, Jorginho's gone, Tierney's gone, Zinchenko's going to go. I mean, there's a whole host of other players as well that could potentially leave. So we need a backup goalkeeper, arguably another centre-back / left-back. Number 6, you know, potentially getting Zubimendi. We need a striker and we need a left winger. So there's your 5 there. And we could probably do with another attacking midfielder. So if there's bonus money to spend, 6. But look, we've got to act quickly. I mean, look at Liverpool. They've already done potentially 200 million on Frimpong, Wirtz and Kirkes from Bournemouth. You know, if they get all of those 3 done, they've done 200 million and we're not even in June. That's mental. We've got to act quickly. And hopefully the money's there to spend, because we went through a dreadful January where we signed no one. We kept the powder dry. Well, now we've got to break the bank, really.
Oh, Mr. Blobby's saying they aren't getting Wirtz. Well, we will wait and see, because this is what goes on. And this is why I don't like it until I see it on Sky Sports with the little yellow banner. Okay, just a couple of other questions. Hold on one second. Right. Avon said, should we be extending Partey and Trossard, or are we just putting off what needs to be done eventually? Chris?
Yeah, Partey's had a good season, but I think for other reasons, I think we just need to move on. Zubimendi is coming in as the number 6. We've got Rice that can also play that position. one of the things I will say is that I don't know, I haven't watched enough Spanish football, but you've got to hope. I don't think anyone has the same ability as Partey in terms of his line-breaking passing. So I don't know if that's going to be Zubimendi or not, but it feels like we've got enough positions to fill the gap of Partey not being around. Zubimendi at 6, Rice in at left 8 or 6. Marino can play left 8, or I don't know if he can play right 8, but you've got Erdegaard, we've got Waneri who can play there. I do wonder, to your point, James, whether we might need another attacking midfielder that's a bit versatile. You get that person in, and we probably just need to move on from Partey. The other thing to think about, if you take his the off the field stuff to one side, this is the first season, or that's probably not, but he's been fit basically all season, and he's had 5 years of he's only fit for half the season. So for me, I think we should just move on from Partey. And for the Trossard thing's weird because I don't think we're actually extending the length of his contract because he's got 2 years. We're just giving him more money, which I just it's weird. Yeah,
that's what Cole just said.
He's been offered a pay rise. It's obviously to fend off the likes of the Saudi money. But if we go and buy a wide forward like a Williams or someone similar, as well as a Gyökeres or a Sesko, then Trossard is surely going to slip further down the list, isn't he? So why do we need to extend him, giving him more? Don't know.
Any thoughts on that, Chris? Cook, sorry.
Yeah, I disagree, to be honest. I would keep Trossard. I think if we're going to be contenders for winning the league, this season has shown that you need kind of unexpected strength in depth. And okay, the injuries have been a bit unprecedented, but I still think if we kept Trossard, he would get a lot of minutes. I think he's a very useful player to have, not necessarily from the start. He's frustrated me a lot, but he's got a decent goals and assist return this season. And he's played in every single Premier League game. So Arteta clearly trusts him, and he's a guy that can play up top and also play on the left wing. And we could probably, use him on the right wing if we really needed to. He's just one of those useful players to have. So I would keep him, keep Martinelli, and bring someone else in. There you've got really good options, really good strength in depth. It would allow us to rotate both in-game and for like the FA Cup, the League Cup, Champions League games. With regards to Partey, I wouldn't be against moving him on, but the issue is you've got Jorginho going as well. And then if we bring Zubimendi in, then we've not really got another number 6, unless you play Declan Rice there. But I don't think that's an option. I think should be an out-and-out number 8 now at this point. So if we moved him on, we'd then also got to bring another number 6 in. So that's more investment that would need to be done. I think the club are looking at it from a football point of view and saying, if we just extend Partey for another year, this can be a problem that we look at next summer and keep our funds invested in areas of the pitch which need immediate attention. So I'm looking at it from the club's point of view, and I think it makes sense. But again, I'm not adverse to moving him on, but it would just require a bit more surgery.
Do we need backup for Saka, Chris?
I think we're going to get it, aren't we? All the talk is of getting a wide forward. I think it's somebody who can play across both flanks. Like, for example, the noises around Rodrigo interested me because he wants to play left wing, but he spent most of his time this season playing right wing at Real Madrid. Now, if Arsenal go to him with a project of, well, left wing is available because Martinelli and Trossard are hardly ripping up trees like Saka does, but when we need to, you will be asked to play right wing. Rodrigo will probably be up for that. So the challenge with the Rodrigo stuff is I think his money is quite a lot, and I'd imagine Real Madrid would want a lot of cash. And I think if they go after Rodrigo, it'll be one of those that will drag out all summer because Xabi Alonso's just been confirmed as the boss, and he probably wants to have a look at everybody. So he's not going to be binning off players like at this early stage in the season, I think. But I'd be interested in Rodrigo. I think we will go for a wide forward that's versatile across left and right.
Okay. Well, if you haven't got any other business, boys, is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, that's all good for me.
You all good?
Just a final shout out for the women again, who
Yeah.
At least they're going to give me a little bit of opportunity to banter that Spurs mate back by saying, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. We won the Champions League, mate. So it's fine.
Arsenal won the Champions League indeed. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us on Bank Holiday. And for those that are listening on audio all season as well, thank you so much. We are going to be going through the summer. We're not finishing and we'll be back in August. We'll be having different guests on. We'll all be doing shows. So why don't you subscribe and press the bell, and then you'll never miss a show as well. I just want to say thank you to everyone who interacts with us on Twitter, on Blue Sky, Instagram, everywhere. We really appreciate all your comments, and on YouTube as well. But on behalf of me and the boys, we'd like to say thank you very much for always supporting us, always supporting what we do, coming on with your questions and everything. It's been a real joy. But for now, it's over and out for season 24-25. Remember, always Arsenal, and remember, it's up for grabs now. Take care, everyone.